I think Santa Claus is fake.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Stupid.
I think that can kind of like be explained by the placebo effect, right?
Idiot.
Have you had a near-death experience?
Yes.
Jake, Santa's not real. And I was like, oh my God. I hope he doesn't like find me in like a JC Penney.
Always on your guard.
So your mom's tucking you in at night, just like, Chris Handles doesn't, he's not gonna get you. If I don't make it to this bush by the time that car passes me, I'll fucking die. And I tuck my fingers in because I didn't want monsters to bite my fingers off.
What the fuck?
Whoa, dude.
Whoa. That's intense.
Alright, Jake, you said you had a ghost story?
Fuck yeah, dude. No, I don't believe in like ghosts like people think, like the scary ghosts.
Like the physical ones?
What do you mean by that?
Like the ones that you could see?
No, I believe in spirits more than ghosts, but I guess that's just coming down to terminology.
Sure, yeah.
I just think ghosts, people think of like these scary little things running around. I'm like ghosts used to be depicted as like these like white cast shadow type things.
Like the
Don't believe
cartoon
in that shit.
version
Well,
of
I think
them,
they're
Yeah,
generally considered like
Anything.
the one that are like well known, or like if they make themselves apparent, they're like considered evil because they're like have unfinished business here, and it's usually like in a harmful way or some shit.
If I think of a
I don't know.
ghost, I think of just like a person, but in like an ethereal, like just like they're not in our physical world. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
just
of
what
course,
I
yeah.
think of.
No, yeah, I don't think they're in our physical world. I do think they're in like a different world. And for us to connect to them, it takes us to be on like a higher level of thinking, because I believe that their vibrational frequency is much higher than ours. And I think for us to get to that certain frequency, we have to like meditate and stuff like that and get into like this higher vibrational state. And once we get into this higher vibrational state, then we can like meet in the middle, because they have to lower their vibrational state for us to meet.
What the fuck
Why
is
are
a
they
vibrational
vibrating?
Yeah, what is that?
You've never heard of like frequencies and
I
vibrational
mean, yeah, I
states and
understand
stuff
like
like
the
that?
frequency reference because
Yeah.
like that's what they use like to detect them, right?
Yeah, and that's the same thing as like vibrational frequency.
But why is it that when you die you start vibrating like at a different frequency?
No, I mean we're all. You're thinking of vibrational weird. We are all vibrating right now.
No, I'm not. Yeah,
We're
but
all
like,
at like
why
a
is
certain
it a
frequency, and
different?
certain
Why are they a
frequencies mean
different
different things.
frequency?
I
What?
feel fine, man.
Why are they a different frequency? I'm just.
They're a much higher frequency. They're a much higher vibrational state because they're not like a physical being.
Okay.
So for us to
Because-
meet in the middle and for us to communicate, that's what I think has to happen. I read like this great book. It's called Spirited by Rebecca Rosen. It talks about it.
So do you think there actually is like a thing as mediums that can speak to the dead because they?
Yeah, for sure. I've experienced it. My family hired them when I was like a kid. And dude, the things that they know, things nobody knew except for me. And
Right.
like they knew it. Something like nobody knew but like my mom. And like they would be like, "Oh yeah, like your brother, blah blah blah." And she was like, "What the fuck?" Like there's just too much of that. How the fuck did you know that other than somebody telling you that? And it's not like, oh, like my, you know, like your friend, like they do it every day.
Yeah.
You can't research somebody every day like to that extent to where like they knew where. So I had like a sword that was my grandfather's, and they knew where the sword was at in my house at that point in time. They knew what was written on the sword and shit like that. And I'm like, there's no fucking way you know what that sword says. It's never been posted online or anything like that. I was 4 years old. I just received the sword 2 weeks prior to that, and my grandfather died. Or no, I think my grandfather was still alive at that point. But regardless, it was his. It had his name on it and stuff like that, and it was just like, it was insane. I was like, how do you guys know this?
What was your last experience with something like that?
Last week,
What do you mean?
dude.
Elaborate.
My basement, I swear, is, people used to call it like haunted, and it was to the point, I would say good spirits, but I don't think a lot of people know how to like handle it. I think, so to put this into like perspective, I saw what my brother saw. I have two brothers. We all saw the same thing and then told my mom about it and explained it in detail to her. This one person that we kept seeing, and it was my mom's sister who died when she was 4 years old from leukemia. We all saw her, explained it to my mom, but never talked to each other. And we all explained the same thing, the same little girl, in the same spot, looking the exact same. All three of us never talked to each other. I was young, and then they were like a little bit older than me. But yeah, we all explained the same thing. So imagine like us three seeing the same thing, never talking to each other about it, and then explaining it to like a third party. How does like that story add up? You know what I mean? Like without us talking to each other.
Yeah.
That's like one small experience. But no, just last week, I walked down into my basement. I swear to God, like sitting on my couch, I saw like a fully grown man, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And it wasn't like a physical being.
Like, was it dark? Like you didn't have the lights on or something?
Oh, I have like what do you call it? Night lights down there. So no, it wasn't like super dark. It doesn't get super dark down there. Okay. If I didn't have night lights on, well, I shouldn't call them night lights. They're like those ones that just like when it's dark they turn on just so I can see, because it does get like pitch black down there. But yeah,
that fucker better been paying rent or something.
I know, dude. He owes me money. But if I had to guess, it's probably like my uncle. So he died as well. Mm. Yeah, but he's like they call them like whatever you want to call them, mediums. They call themselves angel ladies, and they came.
Do they?
That's what these people called themselves.
Oh, okay.
That's what they referred to themselves.
Oh, this specific group.
Yeah, this specific two people. It was weird because they got lost on this one road, right, on the way to my house that day, that they came over and told everybody that stuff. And the road they got lost on was the road that my uncle died on. And I think, it's just like the way this all, like, lined up was just crazy.
You should write a story about that.
I mean, it's definitely, like,
sounds
interesting.
Like a Reddit
I don't
post,
think,
maybe.
like... Yeah, I don't think like a lot of people.
Green text.
I definitely think it's hard for other people to believe it unless they experience it.
Yeah, no, of course. And it sounds like you have some like pretty hard proof that you can bank off of.
For sure.
I don't think I've had any of that, but I believe you.
Yeah, I mean.
But you also said
stories,
mediums, they can or people can meditate to a point where they can communicate with spirits.
I don't think everybody know.
Okay, because I've also like been under the impression that most mediums are born with like a gift.
I do think
that they can. Yeah,
I agree with that. That's why I shouldn't say. I think people do have certain gifts for sure, and I would classify them as like spiritual gifts. Yeah.
So I thought if like, unless you're born with the ability to communicate with the dead, like you can't communicate with the dead unless they want to communicate with you.
100%. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you have to reciprocate like that wantingness. They told me like when I was like a kid, they're like, you'll be able to like speak to these people and see them unless you don't want to. And I went through like a point in time where I didn't want to, and I didn't. But now I'm trying to like get back to that place because I don't know. I want to become like more spiritual, and I've just been seeing more things like that.
Well, do you think there's more like stereotypical hauntings that happen?
You mean
like if like you see in the movie like The Conjuring, there's like a family moves into a house and they get like terrorized by an evil spirit. You think that kind of stuff can happen?
Yeah, I do.
Well, they don't want to communicate with them though.
No, but okay. So here's the
thing.
It is different.
Yeah.
And if those spirits are super strong, it takes like apparently from what I've read and from what people have described, it takes a lot of energy for them to communicate with us.
Right.
So if they want to do physical harm, which I definitely like believe like that could be possible, but it would take so much fucking energy, and it would be like just like hatred.
Where do they get that energy?
They
like feed off
I don't know.
I think they really feed off like life force maybe.
I don't know because
how do they gain it back?
Yeah, I have no idea because my uncle, for example, they like explained he had like his energy was like extremely strong. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know why.
Over 9,000.
It was just like really strong, and like he would not go away. They're like, okay, you need to leave, and he was like, nah, I don't want to leave yet. Mm-hmm. And like I guess they like couldn't get rid of him for a little bit. I have no idea why,
right.
But no, I have no idea. But I do believe, I definitely think some spirits are bad, and I do believe that if that certain person is like afraid of different spirits and they are bad spirits, and you're not like protecting yourself in some sort of spiritual way, that they can like invade on your life, and the more scared you are, the more like they can feed off that energy somehow.
Do you believe in like charms to like reflect them or something? Like some sort of like dream or not dream chasers. Those are different things, but
like those dream catcher type things.
Well, do you believe in those? That's kind of a separate thing, but
no, not really.
No, do you believe in like something affecting your like something outside of your control affecting your dreams? Not like mentally, but like
Oh, you
something
mean like
spiritually. I don't know. You know
you mean
what
like
I
a demon over you? Like
No.
Like
Some
Freddy
I mean,
Krueger?
if you believe in spirits and stuff, I mean, something like that. Do you think that affects your dreams at all? Like, do you think
yes.
like the ghost or the spirit of your grandfather or whatever could like implement something in your dream? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely think if these people want you to learn something, I think one of the best places probably is through dream. I bet being in that state, for example, would be very easy for them to enter and show you something. Just because like I said, like you're in like a higher vibrational
Yeah, your defenses are down.
mind, yeah. Yeah.
How do you know you're in a higher vibrational area in dreams?
Because like your subconscious is less active and your conscious is less active, so you have like more. So it goes into like beta, theta, and gamma waves like inside your brain. So as these different waves increase and decrease, that's like your vibrational state. So like, what is it? I don't want to like misstate this, but I'm pretty sure theta is what you sleep in or something like that. And those certain types of brain activity produces more of like a higher vibrational frequency, in which case you would be more inept to communicate with these types of things.
Do you think we could make a machine that we like strap our hands to that makes us vibrate, and that we could see stuff that we couldn't see before?
Well, I don't want to say. I just said no. No. Yes, because I believe that in the future a lot more things are going to be possible. So I don't want to rule it out. So that's why I don't want to say it's impossible. But it's more of like a mind thing. So like I think they'd be hooking somebody's mind up to something.
I was gonna say,
have no idea.
do you think we've made advancements already, and like how so? Because I don't know anything about like seeking for ghosts and stuff.
Advancements? I have no idea.
I mean, I think as of now, there's a pretty hard line between like ghosts and like the spiritual world and science.
Yeah,
do you
I
mean?
think it's coming closer together. But I agree. Yeah.
I mean, there's just like no scientific proof of any of like ghosts, you know?
Sure.
I don't know if there are groups out there trying to make advancements in that field. There probably are.
Like
I said, or like you said, if they're trying to make a machine that allows us to communicate with the dead, there's got to be someone looking into that, you know? I don't know if it boils down to like an actual science. I mean, I'm assuming if it's real, it would, because I think anything in the universe can be explained by science.
I
Right.
think I saw somebody explain that exact thing, like science, in terms of like the spiritual realm, and they kind of said like if we can reproduce, if there's like a reproduction of these results, and we could like reproduce it through you and me, you know, or not just us, but you know, multiple people, but you get like the same results. So you have like with science, you need like the control group that it like, I don't know, you would have to create some sort of experiment, but there would be reproducibility with these results, and that's what would like be like the scientific part of it. So that's why like people are like, is there hard science? No, because like it comes down to like beliefs over factual data, I feel like, you know?
So do you think beliefs, what you believe in, impacts how you go about like communicating?
Play a role.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you think Santa Claus is sort of a spirit? Because if you believe in him, you see more signs of him.
Nah. I think Santa Claus is fake.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Stupid.
I think that can kind of like be explained by the placebo effect, right?
Idiot.
Like if you're
Placebo.
told, yeah, if you're told enough, like, because we all believed Santa Claus as a kid,
Mhm.
and like you would definitely like convince you didn't.
My mom dropped that bag so fucking soon.
Wow.
She was so
What
mad
the
about it.
What age?
Dude, we were watching like a Christmas movie one night, and she's just like, I'm tired, I'm going to bed. So she starts taking all the presents out. She's like, there's no Santa, and we're just like, yeah, I think we kind of knew.
How old were you?
I had been like, so I mean, this was whenever I was probably like 6 or 7, maybe.
Jeez, man.
So I mean, like, yeah, there was a time that I believed in him, but I don't remember ever being like, is that actually Santa? Also, because my mom and my dad both used to like dress up as Santa and Mrs. Claus to do like my dad was a Boy Scout leader, and he would dress up as Santa Claus, and my mom would dress up as Mrs. Claus.
Right.
So like I just immediately,
Right.
there was never really that.
That makes
there,
sense.
Dude, I was in a fucking Macy's and I was like contemplating my belief in Santa with my mom, and I'm like, yeah, like I still like believe, like my friends are saying like it's not real, but like I still believe in, like, I don't know, like it's getting harder to believe. She's like, Jake, Santa's not real, and I was like, yeah, fucking Macy's. You really want to do that to me in a fucking Macy's?
I thought you were gonna say something about like a mall Santa being there or something.
No.
Right.
No,
It's
just
like,
Macy's.
your mom.
I remember. Yeah, and I wasn't even shopping like for anything. She was shopping for herself, and I was just following her around, debating Santa's.
Do you think
believability.
as a parent, if you ever were a parent, do you think you would like just try to keep it as long as possible, or like do you think there'd be a certain time that you would let your kids know?
I feel like middle school, you can
If they
let
haven't
them know.
already, if they
Yeah,
haven't figured it out,
exactly.
yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I feel like with social media and access to the internet, like kids will find out pretty quick.
Way
I
sooner.
agree.
You know,
Yeah, and
or
even
they just won't be dumb enough to like. Yeah, it's like I know how the world works already.
even
so.
just movies. Like I feel like a lot of movies talk about like, is Santa real or not? Like I feel like kids would question it just through seeing like media and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Do you think it creates like trust issues in these kids? That's what I've always wondered.
Maybe
Like
I feel
their parents
I feel
lying
like
to them?
temporarily, maybe.
Like,
I feel like eventually they grow old enough to understand. Like, oh yeah, it's just like a
Right.
tradition. But yeah, no, I don't. I mean, maybe temporarily.
I
Yeah,
mean,
for
I
sure.
feel like I understood the gimmick. Like as soon as I found out, I was like, you guys just like lied to me this whole time. But then it's like, okay, I understand. Like it's the whole Christmas thing. Like,
Right.
When you go downstairs and you see like all those presents and you're like, dude, Santa was here. Like the cookies are eating all that. That's like a magical moment as a kid, you know.
Yeah.
So like I kind of like understood. I was like, I understand why you guys did it.
I do have memories
know?
of that actually, like laying out cookies and then the plate being empty, and there's like crumbs. My like parents like purposely left some
Right.
crumbs on it. Yeah.
or like a bite out of a cookie.
Yeah. Fucking Jesus, fat ass couldn't even eat the whole thing. No, you know what I did believe in was the Easter Bunny, and I actually thought the Easter Bunny was like an actual rabbit, and because specifically one time, and it just took one time of my grandma. It was like on Easter Sunday or whatever. We were like just hanging around, and she has this little porch that's outside. You could see the outside, and there's this rabbit that walked by, and my grandma was like, "Oh, that's the Easter Bunny." And I was like, "Oh, that's the actual Easter Bunny." And from then on, I just thought the Easter Bunny was just an actual rabbit.
I don't want to like hurt your feelings, but it's not real.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry. Dude.
like it's just
No, I saw him last week. I was just saying, like,
Oh, yeah.
it's not real that, like, he was...
Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
Yeah,
close.
we,
He's just being
me,
silly.
Jake, and the Easter Bunny went out to the bar, and we were talking. We
Oh, you
talked.
guys-
No, we were talking about you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What like did he say anything like good about me?
He was like, he's been real good this year.
That's awesome.
And he was like, I was talking to Santa too.
I'm not keeping this up. Dude.
Okay,
Sure.
but I do think it's important that kids believe in like they have that whole. I think it builds like imagination.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
Like
I was gonna
to-
say, do you
even
think
as
it
a
breaks
kid-
a belief system, but I
No.
would say, yeah, it builds imagination
Yeah,
more than
like
anything.
you believe in magic when you're a kid. Like a guy can go around the world to every kid and like deliver presents in one night. Like that definitely does something new. I think as a kid, and it's got to be positive.
Did you ever like believe in actual like just speaking of magic, did you ever believe in like actual magic, like a magician or something? Or did you always know it's sleight of hand? Because like even like I mean obviously people still 100% believe in magic. Just the fact that America's Got Talent has so many magicians and stuff, and people are like how do they? I mean, there's definitely people that are like how do they do it? Like there's a logical explanation, but there's also people that are like just magic, straight up.
I think the like inherent characteristic of like a magician is that there's like people know that there's a trick to it, but there's like a slight chance that there's no trick. He's just a like he knows magic,
Right?
you know?
Well, you know
Yeah.
Chris Angel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had this one
Throwback.
video. Yeah. He had this one video where he made like this lady's like 6-year-old daughter like 30 years old. And ever since I saw that video for like 6 more years, after seeing that video, I was like, dude, that was fucking real. She was like, put her back. Make her 6 years. What did you do? And he's like, I can't. And then he just like left. And I was like, oh my God. I hope he doesn't like find me in like a JC Penney and make me 30 years old.
You were
I'd
scared
be
of him.
pissed. Yeah, I was like scared of him or something.
Always on your guard.
Yeah, dude. Every time I was in a JC Penney's,
Your mom's tucking you in at night, just like Chris Handel doesn't. He's not gonna get you.
dude, I did have like, I believed in monsters when I was a kid.
Me too.
Yeah.
I did
course.
too, yeah.
because my sister scared the shit out of me with a mask when I was like 4 years old. She was like in like my little like, so I have like a crawl space like attic kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
But it has like a little door for like the entrance.
Okay.
It's like, you know, like how like a roof goes down. It's just like that part that like you can't
Triangular,
use.
yeah.
Yeah. So she hid in there, and then my other siblings coaxed me to go up into my room, which that door is in my room, and she scared the shit out of me. And my parents had to use like monster spray every night or some shit like that, and like block like the door.
What was it?
Probably like water, and block the door with like a dresser.
They like do like a whole like holy water like ritual for it. Like they like pray over it.
Dude, that was fucked up. And she's probably watching this. That was fucked up. Imagine how much different I'd be today if that didn't happen.
Wait, did you know? Did she like reveal that it was her, or did you just like run out screaming? She's like, "We got him."
I honestly, I don't
just
remember.
Never told you.
I just remember. I remember like what the mask looked like exactly.
So.
Yeah.
Did you like find the mask later on and be like, oh?
No. I think they told me like right away, but it didn't matter. I was already traumatized for the rest of my entire life.
Like that could happen with a real monster.
I used to.
Still could.
When I slept as a kid, I used to like tuck my fingers underneath my mattress, like behind my pillow, and that's how I would always sleep. I'd always lay on my stomach, and I'd tuck my fingers in because I didn't want monsters to bite my fingers off.
What the fuck?
Whoa, dude.
Whoa. That's intense.
I thought you guys were gonna be like, oh yeah, me too.
No, that's sorry. That's just you.
Dude, what?
Yeah, dude. And I used to always sleep with socks on too because I didn't want them to bite my toes off.
I can't do
and
that.
socks protect your toes.
I mean, I've covered like my feet.
Yeah, everyone like jumps under their covers like when they think something's awry.
I would feel so uncomfortable if I was laying on my back and there was space like if you're sleeping on your back and your toes are pointed upwards and the blanket is like hanging off, there'd be like that little air gap.
Oh yeah,
that's cold
a
gap.
Big no.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let that happen.
Yeah.
So I would lay flat on my stomach so that way my feet could like rest against, and then the blanket would go wrap perfectly around my feet. So like there was no space at all because if there was a space, monsters were gonna get it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
And
they can't lift blankets.
Okay, this is a universal thing though. Like the monsters like being on the side of the bed though. Like you can't have your hand laying off the side of the bed. Like I wouldn't do that. Either.
Yeah.
Like under the bed and I mean I don't think it was it was an under the bed thing. I was scared of them under the bed too.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I would tuck my fingers underneath. And I don't even remember. Actually,
That sounds super uncomfortable.
I used to bring my blanket the whole way over my head too. I would completely like cocoon myself, and that's why. Well, on top of I have big tonsils, I would snore like super loudly. But
that's a weird statement. I have big tonsils. You should use that as a pickup line.
Yeah.
No, speaking of monsters,
just icebreaker.
You know, usually like now, I just kind of like put my ass out for the monsters
like over the side of the bed
to eat. Yeah,
just like fucking come get it, bitch.
to eat my ass. Yeah. It took you a second. Okay, sorry. Speaking of your fingers, though, dude, they're probably like fucked up. I'm surprised, like you don't have like, nubs or something.
What do you mean?
Pancake fingers?
Yeah, pancake fingers from sleeping on your fucking fingers every night.
No, I didn't. Okay, maybe you guys misunderstood that.
They're underneath the mattress.
I didn't put them underneath, like between my mattress and my headboard, like the backboard. I mean,
I thought you were putting them under your mattress. I'm like, dude,
how
that's
the fuck would I even do
I thought
that?
you
That's
had
what I'm
like
saying. I have
two
no fucking clue.
mattresses like on top of each other, and then like you tucked them in.
Yeah, dude, I thought you were tucking
No.
your hands in.
No. I put them between the bedboard, like just so they were like tucked in. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
that's so crazy.
I don't know why.
Yeah, that is.
You
That's
know
interesting.
what? Actually, I think I know what it was. I think I had a dream because I had a babysitter whenever I was younger, and we never had the babysitter again. This is I gotta tell that like another separate story. But whenever I had a babysitter, I had a nightmare about her, and I don't fucking remember what it was. But I just remember like being in my bed, and she like started like grabbing my fingers from when I was in the bed. So from then on, I started like tucking them. But also, we stopped having that babysitter because she couldn't deal with me. Because I would always, whenever I threw tantrums, I would always hold my breath and pass out.
Right. I think you've told me that. And
Really?
That's a common thing that kids do.
I think that's
I don't know how
hilarious.
that's
I don't
possible.
remember doing it, but you just hold your breath.
Well,
You don't think it's possible?
No. I do. I've seen people do it. I don't know how it's possible.
No.
Like I could not do that.
I've never done that.
I don't remember ever passing out, but I used to hold my breath a lot. Just like, I don't
Wait,
remember.
you did pass out or you didn't?
I did.
Okay.
I just fainted. And she just couldn't deal with it. Like, it scared her. She's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, no, that is terrifying.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to do if I was a babysitter. Because, like, what do you do? Like, hey, breathe.
Just put them on their side and walk away.
Yeah, from my understanding, like you can't like kill yourself from just holding your breath.
No,
like I'm pretty
no,
sure
no,
it's
no.
impossible.
No, you just go
but I'm
down.
just
Yeah, no,
very
you have a
surprised you
gas
can knock yourself
reflex.
out.
That is surprising for sure.
You're like, dude, I did it all the time.
Well, I don't know if it's more like easy to do when you're a kid, or I'm not sure.
It's gotta be, dude.
Yeah, I don't think I
I
could
feel
do
like as an adult, your reflexes are like just don't let you do it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with trying to drown yourself. You can't drown yourself. Like you could try, but like you're always gonna like your body's just gonna make you come up for. I think I've seen that somewhere. I might be pulling that out of my ass.
it.
So
I'm pretty sure you're right, but at the same time, I feel like you could breathe in water if you really tried, and then like,
Oh yeah,
just
because
fuck
you
yourself.
have a gas reflex.
Yeah.
Like when you get to a certain point where you don't have like you're not taking in oxygen, your brain will make you go. And if you're underwater, yeah, you're swallowing water.
yeah, that's terrifying. That's my biggest fear is drowning. Just in general, like open ocean. Open ocean terrifies me. Fears are fucking weird. I mean, I feel like that's a really common one, but
Open ocean,
yeah,
heard about that a
open
lot.
ocean
for sure.
just-
Yeah.
Just not knowing what's beneath you. That's just fucking
Definitely.
terrifying. And even honestly, even like lakes, swimming in lakes that are like just foggy and you can't see beneath. I don't
Lakes don't
care.
bother me.
There's no like gators in there or something, but like it's still scary. Like I remember being in a lake one time swimming and just like a fish touched my foot and I flipped the fuck out. And I never swam that fast in my life. Just like it's just a fish. Like I knew it was a fish, but
Right.
it's still like could have been any fish.
Yeah.
Could have been a shark.
Could have
in
been
the
like the
lake.
fin of.
Freshwater shark.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. You guys have any weird fears?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the open ocean one makes sense, and I've heard about it a lot, especially like when people are on like cruises and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go outside and look at the moon," and then they realize like how dark it is out in the middle of the ocean. They can't see anything except for like
Oh,
the moon
sure,
and
yeah.
nothing else. I mean, they're on the boat, so they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh fuck, I had to go back inside." See, that doesn't scare me. Or thinking about what's underneath me. Never really like thought about that or what's in the ocean. That doesn't really scare me. What scares me is like the nothingness, the void, the emptiness that's there. So
In
so
the
it's
ocean?
no, well, just in general. So like it's like the same basic fear, I guess, but it's a different understanding of it. Like you were thinking about like what's in the ocean.
Yeah.
That doesn't scare me. It's more of like the void of nothing.
Are you? I
It's more
still
like-
are you
Like big open
Big
water,
open, yeah.
just with nothing
With
there.
if it's completely like pitch black and there's nothing there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Well-
nothing. Like imagine like I could stand on water in the middle of the ocean, no boat,
Sure.
which is I mean literally impossible. Say I'm swimming in the ocean,
right.
in the middle of the ocean, completely dark, nothingness.
Yeah.
Not
yes,
not like a
that's what I-
fear of like a
that's- I feel
shark
Right. Oh yeah, that is
I mean,
terrifying for sure.
or anything. It's just like the fear.
But you wouldn't be
there's
scared
just
of like
nothing
what's
there.
underneath you?
Not really.
Come on.
I mean, obviously, like that's a fear, but
Isn't-
I think a greater fear.
Isn't
Right,
that, isn't
okay,
that
yeah.
kind of like what leads to that fear though? That's like a subcategory of the fear that I'm talking about though. Like
I would think that my fear might be like the greater fear, maybe.
no, yeah,
like
no, you're
the-
probably right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like just like the fear of what's in the water stems from also just
I'm not
not
afraid-
knowing,
like-
like just nothing being there.
I think it's like because I'm not like afraid to die. So like the fear of like getting attacked by a shark, yeah, I mean that's fucking scary. Don't get me wrong, but that's not the fear. I just don't know how to put it into words.
No, I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
just the void. So like if
Right.
you think your like worst nightmare would just be like just you and just a black emptiness.
Yes.
Just an inky void.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can get
Definitely.
behind that. Just like
For
having
sure.
no direction to go and it doesn't
Nothing.
matter where you go, just
Absolutely nothing.
being trapped.
Dude, I think
Yeah.
it's kind of like infinity, right? I
Right.
think infinity is kind of terrifying,
Right.
you know?
Right. I think that's why a lot of people don't like to think about death, first of all, and why a lot of people don't like to.
That's probably why he doesn't know pi is because it's infinite and he's scared of infinite.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. I think. I mean,
Just
not
terrible.
pie.
Maybe,
No.
yeah, not
No.
in that sense. But
Just.
I've
afraid
had-
of the
You just
number.
start shaking.
Stop.
I've had
3.14.
like near-death experiences where like I thought I've died,
Mhm.
and when that happens, sometimes you get caught in this state where your head is like rushing at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and you don't know if it's gonna end or not, and that's terrifying. You're just like, is this forever? And that is horrifying.
Wait, say
know what you
again when? Like at what point in time?
Like a near-death experience.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's definitely like situational, but when you're in that state and like it's a constant like just a rush, and it's super hard to explain.
Have you had a near-death experience?
Yes.
What,
Well, I've had like near-death experiences, but I've had experiences where I thought I've died already.
sure.
Can you tell the one on the plane?
Sure.
After you're done,
Okay, let me just tell it now because it stems from this.
for sure.
I was on a plane coming back from Hawaii, so it was a long trip, and I had taken 20 milligrams of an edible, and the first like 20 minutes were fine, and then I decided to like go to sleep because that was why I took it. And so I'm sitting there like trying to go to sleep. I'm listening to music. I've got a neck pillow on. I've got eye cover on, and then I have earbuds in. So I'm like completely just like wrapped up. And eventually I fall asleep, and everything goes black, and then immediately everything is white. And it's just like I open my eyes, and there's just like it's all just like a white void, and my head starts rushing like this is what I'm talking about, 1,000,000 miles an hour. And it feels like I'm on like the fastest roller coaster ever, and it keeps getting faster, you know. And so my heart is like racing just like thinking about it, but it's going, and it's like a minute long, and I'm like, all right, something happened. Like I figured like I passed out or something, and it was like it felt like what was like a minute, and it wasn't stopping. It just kept going faster, and I was like, okay, now I'm starting to like think like the plane crashed, or like I just died, like I had an aneurysm or died or something.
Right.
And so now I'm starting to think like this is what's I'm like going to the next. I'm going to the afterlife. I'm like, this is the journey to the next life. And then another minute passes, and it's still going, and it's going faster and faster. And then I start to panic because I'm like, this isn't stopping. I'm not going somewhere. This is just forever. This is what you feel like when you die. And I got really scared because if that was infinity, that was hell to me, because it was just constant, infinitely growing, just going faster, not knowing what's going on fully, like all your senses are gone. And then eventually there was like a little pinhole in the white where I could see like faces, or I could like see the front of the seat, kind of like make out basic shapes, and it finally just like got clear and grew up, and I could hear my sister next to me like screaming my name, and everyone was like kind of like shaking me, and I finally snapped out of it, and I was like, what happened? And the guy like next to me was like, you just had a seizure.
Oh shit.
And it wasn't a seizure. I don't really know fully what happened. I either because I was sitting up, or I'd like fallen asleep, and then I like slumped forward, and then my neck pillow like cut off oxygen in my brain, and then I passed out. Like I lost consciousness. And then I started like seizing, because that's what your body does when you pass out and you like need oxygen. But yeah, it was a terrifying experience for everyone all around. Like everyone freaked out on the plane, and God, it was so embarrassing too. Like immediately I like looked over my sister, and I was like, how embarrassing. And she's like, fuck you. Because that traumatized her too a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Fuck those neck pillows.
Yeah, fuck those for sure.
That's interesting that that's what you saw while having a seizure. Because I mean, without disclosing information, I know somebody who has seizures, and that's not at all the experience that she has.
Well, it's also high.
True.
So
Sure, but she also frequently does drugs.
right.
So, and that's THC, right?
It was Delta 8.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, basically
Same,
the same
same
stuff.
thing.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, and she never had that. I mean, if anything, it's more I think she just like it just skips time is what she described it as, and she just wakes up, and it just feels like she hit the hardest workout on every single muscle group.
Right. Well, I've passed out before, not on drugs, and it is just like that. It's like a time, like you close your eyes, I know I'm gonna pass out because it's under like certain circumstances, and then I just wake up and I'm like, I just passed out. I'm pretty like actually I feel pretty well rested. It's actually like a good nap, but also I'm
What
like
movies are
I'm
playing
like,
on this flight?
I'm like lightheaded, and yeah, that's not the experience I had.
No.
I would like after that, dude, I would be like trying to go back to sleep, and I could not. Like
Yeah.
as soon as I fell asleep, I'd like
sense.
jolt.
I'd imagine.
It was terrible.
It's like trying to fall asleep in class or something.
Yeah, no, it was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I would get when I would get high. I mean, not that experience, but depending on like what it was, especially when I was using different drugs, but other than weed, but then smoking weed as well.
Right.
And then like my heart would get like really fast. So like I wasn't passed out, but it sounded like the same experience, but I was completely awake, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's terrifying. It's like having that time to think about what was going on. Like, oh, I died. My life's over. Like, is everyone else dead? Or is it just me? Did I just die? And everyone's like,
It's weird.
my dead body just sitting. Oh, that was almost the worst part. Because, like, my mind was racing about, like, what was happening. And I was also very accepting. I was like, okay, I died. Because I was also thinking about, is this my life now? Just traveling through the void. I don't know. Bad experience, though, for sure.
I saw a video recently. This reminds me of near-death experience. I saw a video of a guy getting attacked by a bear, and just the pure like terror in his voice when he screams. And he ends up fending it off and just like, you know, making himself. It's like a black bear, like on the side of a cliff, and the bear, like, it looks like he does like a wrestling move on it. He like pulls it off the side. I'll actually pull up the video. The scream he makes as it's coming towards him, just like the
Yeah.
like that fucking that you feel that, like you could put yourself in that situation just seeing that.
Yeah.
And then he's just like screaming at the end of it, just like yelling at it. And like I can't even imagine being in that position. Like I've never had a near death experience, so I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had a near death Jimbo, put that away.
Put that away.
Make my voice better.
Dude,
it's just gonna be near death experience.
I've had a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just to include the 4 guns I've had put to my head. That's just 4 separate experiences.
That sounds lame.
And then there's a ton on top of that.
No, I'm just kidding. Wait, is there any?
The first time was thrilling, and then the next 3 times you just don't care.
Yeah, I think you've told us about that before. Yeah. Well, the first time.
Coke and fueled rage.
Wow.
Yeah, I was at a party, and this guy couldn't find his backpack, and he thought I stole it, and he put a gun to my head. I was like 18. I was at a party. Everybody was drinking except for me. A lot of people were doing coke except for me. I was probably the only one there sober. Ended up driving my friend's car back to college. But yeah, he said, "Where's my fucking backpack?" As he put a gun to my head, and I said, "Yo, I do not have your backpack." And I started just backing away.
Did you help him find it?
Fuck no.
Jesus.
No. I just started like backing up. And then somebody else got his attention. I just fucking ran away.
Yeah.
Good.
Sounds like a good reaction.
Mm-hmm. No, the first time's thrilling. You know, you get like your adrenaline going and stuff. The second time I had a gun put to my head, I was drunk. I didn't care. I was ready to die. I told her to fucking shoot me.
You just fucking grabbed it and just put it against your forehead?
No, I shouldn't say to my head. She was like 5 feet away.
Okay.
Told her to fucking shoot me.
Yeah, it wouldn't have hurt as bad.
I would have just died. I mean, like, I just accepted it. I was like, fucking
death.
shoot me.
Yeah.
She didn't do it. I said, "You fucking pussy." And then I just
man.
drove off.
Well, we should try it sometime, see what
bluff.
it's like for us. I mean, we don't know. You know?
We could play Russian roulette.
That'd be fun.
It's a
yeah.
good way to.
Oh, one was in Pittsburgh, too.
Why did Russian roulette remind you of that?
Of a gun?
I don't think
To my...
he's
just
he's
another-
continuing.
just
the
continue
story.
the thought.
Just continuing, yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
Wait,
Have you ever
the
played
other
Russian
ones
roulette?
weren't?
No. What?
The other ones weren't in Pittsburgh?
No, the one was in Florida, one was in Erie, one was in Pittsburgh.
Mm.
2 maybe were in Pittsburgh. I'm missing one.
What were
There's
the
4.
other 2 situations?
The one was in Erie, like I just said,
Right.
at that party.
Yeah.
The one was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Well, the one in Florida was the one I just said that lady. I said
You
fucking.
called her bluff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, easily. And then the one dude, I passed him at like a stop sign or something. I like honked at him at a stop sign, and then he pulled up next to me. He said, "Oh, do you know who the fuck you're fucking with?" I said, "Fuck you." And then he pulled his gun out, and then I said,
Have a
he
nice
said,
day.
"Yeah." He said, "No." He said, "What'd you say?" I said, "Fuck you." and then I drove away. Like, there's nothing to it.
What's he gonna do? Fucking shoot you?
Go ahead. Ruin your life. But this is when I was accepting death. I'd rather not die now.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound
sure.
fun.
It was never like a. It was more maybe like a death wish. Not like I wanted to die, but more just like a. If I die, I die.
You definitely had a different mindset, yeah.
Yeah. It is weird, but like I feel like everyone can go through those phases where
For sure.
they're like, it's all right if I die now, I'm ready. But then like it could be 2 months later and they'll be like, I don't want to die right now.
Exactly. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah.
I guess you have to
it's
always like
phases.
always be thinking like there will be a time where I don't want to die.
Mm-hmm.
And you just go, I mean,
100%.
yeah, I don't think the mindset of I'm fine with dying right now.
That's a really good way to prevent thoughts in general. That's a really good way. You just put it right there. There will be a time.
I have thought
don't want
about
to.
that, like people that have suicidal thoughts. I don't think it's as simple as that, especially if if it's depression induced, because depression is constant.
Well, no, yeah. The way I'm putting that makes it sound like I'm just saying like, oh, if you have suicidal thoughts, just cheer up. Fucking
Yeah,
idiot.
but yeah, if there's
that's not
like
what I'm saying.
if there's like someone just broke up with their girlfriend, and they're like really down about it, and they're like, I might as well just like kill myself.
Right.
I guess that mindset could help, where it's like there will be a time where I get over this, and I want to continue living because I would have met someone else, and
Right.
But yeah, it's really hard to think about that, especially in the heat of the moment.
You never know where your life is headed in any direction at any time in your life. I mean, I was definitely at a down point in my life when I had no friends, no close friends, and I didn't have suicidal thoughts frequently, but it popped up just because I was like, what's the point if I have nobody? And I had people, I just didn't see it. I didn't understand it. I had family that would kill for me that I just didn't see that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard to describe that to somebody who is in that mindset, that there are people that care for them. And like, you could say that to them, but they just don't see it. And I know from experience, because I had people that I know for a fact were there for me after I realized, after I was out of that mindset, after I found people in my life, I understood what I had that I didn't even see. And like, it's so hard. There's no good way of going about it. There's no good way of telling somebody. I mean, there's gotta be, but I don't even know it from someone who's been on the other side. But
Right, of course. And it's a really hard, especially someone that's really affected by depression and anxiety. It's really hard to pull them out of that because, they got to meet you halfway,
right.
first of all. But also, like, we're not trained professionals. We're not trained therapists.
Sure.
They're definitely more equipped for it. But
it's not even having somebody like professional. It's just having somebody who cares for you. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was never super close with people that I was friends with, or even my family. But I know for a fact that if I said anything along the lines of what I was thinking at that time, they would have been there for me every single day.
Of course.
They would have dropped everything. And I would do the same thing for I feel like anybody that I'm remotely close with. If someone that I just met in the past 6 months that I consider like an acquaintance told me something like that, I would be there for them.
1,000%.
Yeah, and it's something that you can't even get through to somebody like that.
Yeah.
It just be. I feel like they have to experience it, because just as a general PSA, if you're feeling anything, speak up, please. Like, I made the mistake of not doing it, and I lived in a depressive state for almost a year, and it sucked. It was like the worst time of my life. So speak up. You'll find somebody. I promise.
For sure. Yeah, and the people that are closest to you, like that's your easiest route for sure.
Sure.
Because they'll listen to you.
And if I would have told myself in the state that I was in that I would go somewhere where I'd be happy, I don't think I would have believed myself. But it's just, I don't know the best way of going about it. Like, because you don't know. You don't know, but like
talking
I also didn't try either.
Talking to people close to you. Well,
in general, yeah.
I think it can. There's also like an embarrassing factor to it, or you don't want to like burden them. I think there's hotlines that you can call that because talking does help. You can just unload on them and they'll listen to you.
That was never something, especially like as like an introvert, that was never something I would have been comfortable doing.
Right.
Talking to anybody.
Yeah.
Just talking in general was something I couldn't do. Maybe like, I mean, I'm sure there is. I think BetterHelp is actually something that has text chats and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have like chats that you can like type to people if you're not comfortable talking, which is really cool. And I've seen that on advertisements and stuff.
Yeah.
For people like us, obviously we're not in a place where we would get sponsored or anything, but BetterHelp has sponsored podcasts and such, and yeah, they talk about specifically for that reason, front and center. Yeah, you could just type to people like if you're not comfortable talking, which I wouldn't have been at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important. So check out BetterHelp. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
But
I think this is something we've kind of talked about before, where you feel so alone, especially like in these depressive episodes, or like when you're going through like a ton of fucking anxiety. Where you just, it makes you feel like you're completely alone. It makes you feel like you have absolutely nobody, even though there's people there, there's family there, there's friends there. And I don't know, it just makes you feel like super alone. I've been there, yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have. I don't think a lot of people admit it. Or maybe they just don't know, they're just like, this is just my life.
Or it might have been like a lot smaller of a window, but like, it doesn't matter how small the window. Like some people, I think it's even more dangerous if it's in a smaller window because people are like, oh shit, this sucks. And just decide right then and there. Whereas people that are just used to it.
Right. They can talk themselves down.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, that it varies strongly between everybody because everyone's got their own shit that's going on. Mm-hmm. And everyone has that varying level of depression and thoughts and whatever situation they're going through. And it all varies on how they deal with it or how they find quote-unquote enlightenment from it. So that's why I think it's super hard for people to push themselves through that, just because it varies so strongly from personality to personality. But of course, there's plenty of tools like therapy and just talking to people that are close to you. That's a good start, the best start probably. You gotta know, therapists will probably help you a lot to like understand yourself and what you need.
Right. And this is coming from two people that have been to therapy. I've never been to therapy, but you two have. And like, how much has that helped you? Even just talking about yourselves, not even necessarily for depression or anything, just talking about yourselves. How does that help you?
It helps immensely. And I know it's helped you too. But like, I just find talking about your problems therapeutic in general. And I'm honestly to a point where I don't need it as much, but definitely like a year ago, 2 years ago, I definitely found it way more therapeutic, just like, because I always was like thinking about every little thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm far past that, and it's thanks to therapy for sure.
Yeah. I found out I had OCD for like my whole life. Mm-hmm. I would have never known that.
What are some of your like OCD tics? Like something that relates to that?
Oh, I used to when I was a kid. I had things like that, like normal OCD that people would imagine OCD to be like, where I would have to do everything in threes. I would turn on, off, on a light, and then to turn it off, I would off, on, off. Brush my teeth, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Wait, what does that mean?
Do everything in counts of 3.
What does the brush your teeth 1, 2, 3 mean?
I would count 1, 2, 3 in certain spots in my mouth. But do everything in threes. It's common.
I don't know if I told you about this, but I used to do this thing whenever I was a kid, and I probably still have OCD, but in different ways. But whenever I would hit something, it was kind of like a symmetry thing. You've heard of symmetry, right?
Mm-hmm,
like where, like yeah, it's right. And then you'd have to hit something with your left hand.
Yeah, it's.
I wouldn't do. I would go the above and beyond. I would have to do like a pattern. Like I'd have to do, if I hit something with my right hand, I'd have to go left, left, right, and then I would go even further and go left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right for every fucking thing that I did. So if I was walking on like the fucking bike trail or something, and I accidentally like skid my foot on the ground, I would do that pattern. I'd purposely skid my foot on the left side, right side, left, and just so on.
Motherfucker was doing paradiddles with his body.
Until I was doing it with my friend. I remember I was on the trail with my friend and I did it. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, just doing the pattern. He's like, "What?" I was like,
Yeah, dude, it can get out of control.
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
sounds mentally exhausting.
You have.
It was,
You have
dude.
to keep it in check.
I spent so much of my time just like doing that thing, just like pausing what I was doing just to fix what I did, just bumping my elbow. Got to do it.
Do you think you grew out of that?
Yeah, no,
Or
I don't
like
do it
you
anymore.
worked on that like consciously?
No, purposely had
Okay,
to stop doing
yeah.
it, and it would kill me. It was hard.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, I gotta hit my lip. Nah, I can't do it. I
But
can't
you
do
trained yourself.
it. Yeah, it was hard. I remember like going through that phase.
Interesting.
I was probably in middle school whenever that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was tough. I still have. I definitely. I have to have some sort of OCD.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think a lot more people do than admit it or than realize it. I think it's probably more of like they don't realize it. I mean, looking back on my life and then realizing all these things that I did, and then moving forward trying to fix them. But I would have never guessed that is what everything was, and that's why I was doing that. Like not stepping on cracks. I mean, I'm sure that's like common. Not touching like certain paint. Even I had like a stressful day this past week, and I was walking in the parking lot, avoiding cracks and avoiding paint on the ground, and being like, "Oh, don't!" And like I literally got like anxiety. I was like, "Dude, step on the fucking paint. You have to."
Did you
And I
ever-
made myself step on the paint. I was like, it like physically hurt me.
you just like melt into the ground.
I was like, "Fuck."
Did you ever?
I
Like,
felt so uncomfortable.
when you're walking on the sidewalk and they have like the little they have those cement like rectangles.
Yeah.
Did you walk in 3, like 1, 2, 3, and then step over the crack 1, 2, 3?
When I was a kid, I
That's what I
broke
used to
that
do.
pattern when I was a kid,
used
and
to
I had
do
no idea I was even doing it. I had no idea I even broke a pattern. I don't know why or how I did. I'm very glad I did, but I had no idea what that was, especially as like a 6 or 7 year old kid doing that.
Did you ever anything like that at all?
I'm sitting here trying to think.
You would purposely step on all the cracks. Like, fuck.
No, I mean,
Fuck
there's
my mom's
I'm-
back.
there was definitely times where I was like avoiding all the cracks, or like when you're like walking down the sidewalk, you like walk 3 steps on like the squares and then jump over the crack.
It's like a little kid thing. Though.
Yeah, but I feel like
as
that's
well.
pretty normal occurrence among
Yeah.
people. Or like, I like everything in my room like tidy, like put all my like cologne bottles in a
Yeah.
row, Or
Yeah,
like,
I don't
or
think
like
being-
when I turn up the volume on TV, like it's got to end at 0 or 5.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
again, I think that's like that everyone pretty much
Yeah.
does that.
Yeah, that's a common thing.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where there's like a mental disorder there, like where if something like if this is supposed to be here and it's moved over an inch, that can't be like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Without like me being like, hey, that needs to move, that needs to move.
Yeah.
That's
Definitely know
when
people like that.
I
that's
don't
when
have
it's like
that.
more OCD rather than just like being tidy and stuff.
Right.
So you just have to keep check on that, especially if you have
ever,
it.
Have you ever had the thing where it's like, if say you're like running on the road or like walking on the road even, and there's a car coming, and you're like, if I don't make it to this bush by the time that car passes me, I'll fucking die.
Yeah, and then you start running faster or something like that.
Yeah, like you
I don't
make
even
sure
know.
you make
I don't
sure
know what that
it's
is,
always,
but
you always
yeah.
make it like realistic. Like you always make it so you can do it. Like you're gonna do it. Like it's always like, yeah, but it's always like, yeah, I'm gonna die if I don't hit that bush.
I think that is actually a form of OCD. It's called like it's obsessive thoughts. That's what I have now.
Okay.
But I mean, I have it like at least now that I understand that's what that is. It's very, I don't want to say very easy to manage, but it's taking some time.
I mean, I don't think I have any like stuff like problems in my life like that, but like I used to do that for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I used to do that a lot more, but once I realized that's what that is, it gets a lot easier.
I feel like just knowing what you're doing is part of OCD. Just
Knowing what and why, yeah. I think knowing why, like I said, I think I said this in the last podcast, is the first step. Knowing why, like
Sure.
why do I do this? Then understanding why,
Yeah,
you can start to
realizing.
fix like, or manage what the fuck's going on.
so what's wrong with you?
Not a lot. I'm perfect.